Hey, you guys. Oh man, I'm so sorry. You caught me right in the middle of my workout jam. Um, the great soundtrack that is Hercules from the Disney, of course, the Disney version. Man, I've been thinking and reflecting a lot about all the things going on, all the movies I love, and definitely Disney's Hercules is a classic. It's a fave. This is my one little bit of Hercules swag that I got. But I actually really, really love the story of Hercules. And a lot of people requested to hear that story from Percy Jackson's perspective. Gonna be honest with you guys, reading that, I was a little shook because Disney's Hercules is like the sweetest, softest boy. We love him. Um, the true, well, OG Hercules from the Greek myths, that guy's a totally different story. But you still want to hear it? I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? All right, if you're in, let me see. I'm going to be honest with you guys again here. PJ, he's a little bit long-winded. This is a very long story, so I'm going to have to abridge it just a bit. This is a 60-page story. The pages are ginormous. They're big. There are some illustrations, but it's not like a kid's book where even though it's big and there's a lot of pages, it goes by fast. This is a long-winded story. So PJ, Percy, I love you, but I'm going to have to abridge this just a little bit. So bear with me here, you guys. And as I kind of tell you, me alongside Percy Jackson, tell you the story of the OG Hercules. It's not the same. Get prepared. We'll start here with this lovely little image of baby Herc. All right. The story is called Hercules Does 12 Stupid Things. Okay, here we go. Where do I even start with this guy? Even his name is complicated. I'm going to call him by his Roman name, Hercules, because that's how most people know him. The Greeks actually called him Heracles. Even that wasn't his real name, though. He was born either Alcides or Alceus, depending on which story you read, but the great hero Al just doesn't really have that nice of a ring to it. Anyway, so before he was born, there's a whole backstory about Hercules, and it's a rather long tale that involves many of the descendants of our first tale subject, Perseus, the OG Perseus. So Percy gives us a lot of backstory involving Hercules' mother and his stepfather. His mother, Alcmene, ends up marrying this guy, Amphitryon, who is kind of dumb, but is a potential heir to the next throne of their city. Now, unfortunately, no one really wants Amphitryon to take over, so they just let him be a general in a war. Alcmene is like, okay, go off and do your war. Hopefully you come back and learn some stuff. Now, while Amphitryon is gone, Alcmene's doing her thing. She's loving life. Zeus happens upon her and is like, whoa, what a babe. I gotta meet this chick. I gotta hang out with her. Even though he's at this point made several promises to Hera that he's not going to mess around with any mortal chicks anymore. He sees Alcmene and decides he's going to hang out with her anyway. So he disguises himself as Amphitryon and goes and convinces Alcmene to hang out with him. And anyway, they end up making a baby, and that baby is Hercules. 3 days later, Amphitryon, her actual husband, comes back from the war, and he's like, what's up? I missed you. And she's really super confused. Long story short, you're going to hear me say that a lot. She figures out it was actually Zeus that disguised himself. And she's like, crap, like that. I mean, what can we do? I thought it was you. Amphitrion's like, it's fine. It's Zeus. I get it. But I'm home now. So then they also make a baby. So Alcmene, she's having twins. One is Zeus's, and one is actually Amphitryon's. And yes, it's the Greek myths, so that can happen. So eventually, Hera finds out about Hercules. She's really ticked off. She doesn't want this kid to be born. She doesn't want him to have a good life. So she intervenes a little bit. Alcmene eventually has her twins, while Amphitryon's brother is also, his brother's wife is also about to have a kid. Hera makes it so that the brother's kid is born first so that they take over the throne of their city. So that means Hercules and his brother don't have a chance at the throne because Hera's like, he's, my husband's kid who wasn't supposed to happen. I don't want him to have a good life. Hera's like that. So Hercules is born, although at the time he was called Al something, as well as his brother, Iphicles. And his brother is kind of the weaker twin, and Hercules is like, boom, buff kid. So this part of the story might actually sound familiar to you if you've seen the Hercules movie. So Hercules and his brother are born, and the next few months are relatively uneventful. Hercules learned to crawl, he learned to punch through brick walls, he teethed his way through several horse saddles, got put in timeout for breaking his babysitter's arms, and even spoke his first word, mangle. He's super strong, what can he do? One night, when he and his brother Iphicles were asleep, Hera decided to get rid of her least favorite toddler once and for all. If I allow this child to grow up, she thought, he'll be nothing but trouble. Zeus is watching over him, so I can't just blast the boy to ashes. I know. I'll arrange a believable accident. A couple of poisonous snakes in the nursery. That happens all the time, I'm sure. 2 nasty vipers slithered through a crack in the wall and made straight for the children's beds. Iphicles woke first. He felt something gliding over his blanket, and he screamed. Down the hall, Alcmene heard him. She bolted out of bed and shook her husband awake. Amphitryon, something is wrong in the nursery. The parents rushed in, but they were too late. Hercules had taken care of business. With his super-fast toddler reflexes, he had grabbed both snakes by their necks and strangled them to death. By the time his parents arrived, Hercules was standing up in bed, grinning and waving the dead vipers. Bye-bye. As for Iphicles, he was huddled in the corner under a blanket, screaming and sobbing. Amphitryon sighed. Come on, Iphicles, I've got you. Sorry, little dude, you're stuck with my DNA. After that night, our snake-strangling hero got a new name. He was no longer Alcides or Alceus, whichever version, or any other flavor of Al. He became known as Heracles, or as we know him, the Roman version, Hercules, which means glory from Hera. Thanks to Hera, he was famous before he even graduated preschool. She must have loved that. So from there, Hercules and Iphicles continue to grow up, and Hercules is crushing it in school and academics and physical stuff. He sucks at music. Music is not his thing, so he ends up getting really mad and accidentally killing his music teacher at 12 because he doesn't know his own strength and stuff. So they have to send Hercules away, and he works on basically a ranch for a long time, and that's where he develops this great love of cows. So Hercules, he loves the cows. He learns some patience, how to control his strength a little bit. By the time he comes back, the city is basically on the brink of war, and they're being attacked by a neighboring city. The Minions. They're coming for them. They want to take over their people. And Hercules comes back from his ranch life, and he's like, whoa, we can't let this happen. He's trying to convince the town's king, his father, who's a general in the army, his brother, to say, we can't let this happen. And they were like, no, we don't want to cause trouble. They have a big army. They could totally take us. We'll just give them what they want. And what they wanted was 100 of their cows every year. Hercules loves cows. He's like, that ain't happening. So he ends up being rather violent and sending a message to the minions, um, saying, like, we're not going to take your crap. And if you don't agree, then you're going to have to face me. And so he sends back some messengers that he like chopped off their fingers and stuff like that. Really gross. Hercules was rather violent. Okay. The king of the minions was really ticked off. So Hercules has to go face him. He gathers up some of the military dudes to go with him, and they all head to face off against the minions. And Hercules is super strong and an amazing like warrior, so they come back successful. Hercules returned home in triumph after defeating the minions. King Creon, he's the king of Hercules' city, was so grateful he rewarded Hercules with his oldest daughter, Megara. Even the gods were impressed. They descended from Olympus and loaded Hercules down with so much swag it got embarrassing. Hermes gave him a sword. Hephaestus made him a suit of armor. Apollo presented him with a bow and quiver. Athena gave him a kingly robe and generously agreed not to kill anyone for desecrating her temple. Thanks, Athena. It was a big old Olympian love fest. Hercules and Megara got married and had 2 children. For a while, life was good. Hercules took his dad's old job as head general and led the army on many successful campaigns. In one of those battles, his brother Iphicles fell, leaving behind a widow and an infant son named Aeolus. But hey, at least Iphicles had died bravely. That was kind of important to the Greeks. Hercules brought honor and glory to his hometown. Everybody figured that once Creon passed away, Hercules would be the new king. If the story had ended there, Hercules would have gone down in history as one of the greatest Greek heroes, and remembered the way he is on those Disney movies. But no, he was just getting warmed up, and so was Hera. Up on Mount Olympus, the queen of the gods seethed because of Hercules' successes. She couldn't allow him a happy ending. She decided to make his life as terrible, tragic, and complicated as possible. And what she does next is pretty rough. So stick around for tomorrow's video and you'll find out where Hercules' tale goes next. Is anybody shook? I know if you've seen the Disney version, you know that it kind of ends where he gets with Megara and they're having a big celebration, which sounds awesome and amazing. If only that was the end of Hercules' tale. And once you find out what happens next, I think you're going to understand why Disney decided to end it there. All right, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to get back to my workout, pumping some iron.